So in this lesson, I'm going to show you how you can teach children to place the values onto the number line, so decimal values. First of all, you need to start with, if this is 1 and this is an 8, the difference is 1, isn't it? Usually when we're younger, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but now it seems like there's something in between. There is the numbers that come in between, the 7 and 8 are called decimal numbers. And how do we tell what to put on this particular spot? So basically, first thing we do is we count how many gaps are there in between the two numbers. So there are 2 gaps here. So what would it be if we got 2 gaps here? What are these decimal numbers called? So remember, 2 gaps is the same as like half, isn't it? If we try to find out the value of this one, is 1 out of 2. Now recall that 1 out of 2, the decimal place is 0.5. And therefore, each of this gap is called 0.5. So now if we got 7 at 0.5 is, this gap will be, this point will be 7.5. And then if we add another 0.5, that will be 8. So that's correct. Now the first point A, you need to figure out where is 11.5. Obviously, you go to 11. And then now we know every gap is called 0, is to add 0.5. Therefore, 11.5 is going to be here. So this is point A. Okay, so then the next thing is like, we again got 2 different numbers, 2 to 3. So that is equals to 1. But then there's so many gaps in between here. Okay, all along here, there are all the gaps that we need to figure out. So then what is the value of this point then, for example? The way to figure it out is first of all to count how many gaps are there. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are actually 10 gaps. Now remember, if we want to find out what is the gap 1 out of 10, basically we do this, isn't it? 1 out of 10. Now remember, 1 out of 10 is equal to 0.1 or 0.10. So each of this gap is 0.1, 0.1. And if we add them up, 0.110 of them is going to make 1. Okay, so now to figure out where is A, 2.4, basically you got to 2. And then you say 2 at 0.1 is 2.1. Add another 0.1 is 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. So this is the point A. Now then we come to this one. We're not going to do this one first. We're going to go down to the bottom first. Now this one again, the difference between 1 to the next number, there are 4 gaps. Now, what is 4 gaps? What is 1? The value of 1 gap out of 4. So 1 out of 4, what will it be equals to in decimal? That is 0.25. To prove it, you can add up 0.25 4 times and you're going to get 1. So each of this gap is actually called 0.25. It's got a value of 0.25. So the first gap, that will be 5.25, and that will be the point A. And then from there, then if you know what is a quarter equal to in decimal, this one, it'll be easy to figure out the next one, which is 3 to 4 is 1, but then there are how many gaps count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, if you try to figure out 1 out of 8, you can divide this using a division method, which is like 1 divided by 8, and then you need to like borrow the decimal places, and so on. But we're going to do it simpler way. Now, if you know, if I split the gap into 4 pieces, each of the piece is called 0.25, yes? Now, we are now trying to find out what will be the value of decimal, in decimal, if I split that further into half, which is 1.8, isn't it? 1.8 is actually half from 1.4, 1 over 4, sorry, well, not 1.8. 1/8 is actually half the value of a quarter, isn't it? So therefore, all we need to do is split this into half, which will be 0.125. So each of this is actually 0.125. And therefore, the first point is 3.125. The second point is 3.250 or 3.25 and so on. Okay, so let's see. 3.25 is point D there. So that is the D. Okay, so with this kind of question, it is important to actually give children questions. So like, for example, on the particular week, you give them this decimal places to place on the number line. Sometimes leave it for 2 or 3 weeks and then give them another sheet like this for them to try out, because children tend to forget how to find out what's the value of each gap. Thank you.